feel like there are some songs that if you put on headphones and like walk around the city, they make you feel like the main character. Like it's
Yep.
just like a scene in a movie and cameras are following you around and you're just like,
Yeah.
this is one of those songs that I feel like would make you feel that way.
This is Off Track Podcast, where each episode, one brother presents a project to be reviewed by the other.
Welcome to Season 1, Episode 12 of Off Track Podcast. Each episode, one of us brothers will bring a project that we love for the other one to hear for the first time and react to. We're both hip-hop heads, but we'll bring projects from all different genres, and we'll include well-known projects, obscure projects, and everything in between.
Today, I'm going to be bringing Helaman, Good People by Majid Jordan, an album that came out last year that I've been bumping a lot. This is going to be our last episode for this season. We're going to take a little break from doing the weekly episodes just as I'm finishing up the semester with school and going to be working a lot over the summer. And Helaman and his wife, Haley, are going to be moving and doing some traveling and stuff. So it won't really be feasible for us to keep recording these, but once things settle down a little bit over the next couple months, we'll get back to it. Yeah. So what have you been up to? What you've been listening to? And then let's get into it.
We finally got a buyer for our van. Still got to like clean it out and stuff and everything, but
End of an era.
yeah.
Crazy.
Other than that, yeah, just like getting ready to move. I did our taxes last night. It's always
Ooh.
fun. Okay, so actually music-wise, so you introduced me to Love Deluxe by
Oh, yeah.
Sade.
Yep.
I had a couple of friends over the other day and we got a little toasted and listened to that album, and it is a very good album to
Nice.
listen to while high.
Both toasted and untoasted.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Obviously, I've been listening to the Future and Metro Boomin We Don't Trust You album that just came out,
Okay.
and
Thoughts on that?
there were a lot of bangers on there. Obviously, the Kendrick verse kind of stole the spotlight, and
Yeah.
it is a phenomenal verse.
Yeah,
And
seriously.
now we got the J. Cole, which let's not talk about the J. Cole verse.
Needless to say, from our point of view over here, Kendrick swept. Kendrick was going more at Drake anyways.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know. Like Drake's just been posting his funny little captions on Instagram. And like J. Cole responded,
Funny.
but I'm like, I feel like J. Cole was mostly just guilty by association. Like
Yeah.
that's the only reason he caught any strays. So I don't know.
He doesn't strike me as like the kind of person who actually like has real beef with Drake. Like I feel like it's more just the competitive spirit, and like, you know, there's some valid criticisms of like Drake and his music and everything and his persona or whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like Kendrick is kind of just like being competitive about it, but I feel like that it's not like he's actually got beef with Drake. I don't know if you can even qualify it as a beef yet. Like, there's been some subliminals or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're getting off track, but off track on the Off Track Podcast.
Whoa. But it's also like Kendrick's not gonna put something out like that and not at least be. I mean, it's he put out one verse, right? Yeah. In my mind, it's not even Kendrick is leagues above
either of them.
Either of those guys. They're both great artists and great rappers. But not touching Kendrick in my opinion.
I'm with you. Beyonce's new album, listened to it a couple more times.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been listening to her, just going back through her discography. Hers.
Ooh, she is so good.
Yeah.
Her not being Beyonce, but
yes, I've been listening to her. Anyways, so what's up with you, Parker?
Yeah. Couple days this week were super nice. So me, Luke, and Whitney went rock climbing up in Rock Canyon.
Nice.
So that was super fun. I listened through all of Saba's discography this week.
Nice.
And dude, so good. Like,
did you listen to Pivot Gang too?
Yeah.
Because I listened to Pivot Gang yesterday. The You Can't Sit With Us.
Yeah.
Album.
Yeah. So good, dude. Just like such good storytelling, and
Yeah.
I think Saba is super underrated.
Remind me what the album that he released in 2022 was called with like the
Few
old
Good
guy.
Things. Yeah, a
Yeah,
few
yeah,
good things.
yeah, a few good
Yeah,
things.
loved
That
that
one was
album.
so good.
And Care for Me,
That
so good.
one Prom King song on there,
Yeah,
it's like not the most like digestible song or like accessible, but
yeah,
and it's pretty long. I think it's pretty long, right? It's like 6 minutes or
yeah.
something, 7.5 minutes. That's one of those like storytelling songs that is so good.
The opening track on that album, Busy slash Sirens, it's like two
Yeah.
songs,
Hmm.
is like is got to be one of the best opening tracks to an album. Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
I could listen to that album a million times and not get tired of it. Concrete Boys, which is a group, Lil Yachty, I think he
Okay.
started it. I honestly don't know a ton about this group, but
Interesting.
they just dropped an album this week that I thought was super good.
Okay.
I've been over
Concrete
the past
Boys.
like 2 years, I have gained a huge appreciation for Lil Yachty's music. I used to like back in high school, I don't know, kind of saw him as like a joke. And honestly,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people saw him that way.
Some
Um,
people still do.
some people do, but I've really gained an appreciation for his music. Okay, last one. I don't even know how to pronounce her name. I think it's Shanad Harnett. She's a UK R&B singer.
Okay.
Super good.
There was like one other aspect of the beef that
That you wanted to mention.
yeah, I was like thinking about. I feel like there's the potential for just like the entire like all of the kind of like allegiances and like fault lines
Yeah.
in like mainstream hip hop to just like completely shift.
On J. Cole's album that he just dropped, Ab Soul is on it.
Oh, that's what it
So
was. It was,
yeah.
yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw Ab Soul on there and I'd already seen on Instagram that he was snapping back at Kendrick. And I was like, shoot,
Yeah.
getting some former label mates involved here. And
Yeah. Maybe first person shooter would have been where it kind of like started shifting, but I feel like most people would have seen J. Cole and Kendrick as closer than J. Cole and
yeah.
Drake.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean,
So
there's always been the hope
the
by a
rumors
lot of
of a
fans that J. Cole and Kendrick would do a
oh,
collab album together.
yeah.
I'm gonna preface this album by saying a couple things. So um in my experience, usually music will affect me like one of two ways. The first one being like the music, usually through the lyrics, will have me like immediately thinking deeply about, you know, like the message of the album or the music, potentially like what it means for me, or like if it opens me up to a different point of view or perspective, that sort of thing. And I would consider like some of those artists to be like Kendrick is one of
Mhm.
those artists, or Radiohead, or a lot of these artists that kind of tell a narrative through their music. They usually have a message to
Mhm.
kind of go along with it, you know. The second way I would say is music that kind of does the opposite, and rather than get me deeper into my own mind, kind of take me out of my own head and take me to a different place, like kind of emotionally. And to me, that's kind of how I see, broadly speaking, these two different forms of music. Is like
Mhm.
one that kind of gets me thinking deeply right away, and one that kind of takes me out of my own head.
I've been thinking about this actually a lot the past couple of weeks, but I feel like for me, it's usually less about like the specific song or whatever and how it impacts me. And it's usually more about like when I'm listening to hip hop, I'm usually more dialed into the lyrics and I'm like
Right.
thinking about the lyrics because it is
Yeah.
a very like lyrical way, like uh, at least for a lot of hip hop history, that it was a very like lyric heavy
Right.
thing. But honestly, for me, for other genres of music, I will usually just get lost in like the instrumentation and like the vibes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyways, I
And
totally see the like the duality or
yeah,
whatever.
part of my goal is to help you open up more to that kind of music. we so obviously we reacted to Sade a couple weeks ago. And that was very much a vibe, and more ambient and like more kind of ethereal kind of music. I'm gonna tell you, Majid Jordan is even more so.
Okay.
And honestly, I would consider Sade to be kind of a really good balance between the two. Because like
Yeah.
her storytelling
Yeah.
is incredible. And not all of the lyrics are very complicated. For the most part, I think a lot of the lyrics are pretty straightforward.
Hmm.
But then like she'll throw in those storytelling songs that really get you thinking, deeply about things. And to me, a lot of my favorite artists are a good balance between those two.
Yeah.
I think that's why I love Sade so much.
Hmm.
Majid Jordan leans more towards kind of that second style of music. Okay, so Majid Jordan, they are an R&B duo from Toronto. Majid Al Maskati, who is the singer, he's from Bahrain originally, and then moved to Toronto for university. And that's where he met Jordan Ulman. So that's where the Majid and Jordan come from. Jordan Ulman, he's the producer of this duo, and he is from Toronto. So they met in 2011 in university. And so they started making music together and came out with an EP called After Hours, under a name Good People. So Good People was their original name for their
Okay.
duo. And they released it right before Majid's student visa was up. So they released it, and then Majid had to go back home. Luckily for them and for us, that EP got in the hands of 40, who is Drake's producer. He reached out to Majid and told him to fly back to Toronto and potentially sign with his and Drake's new record label, OVO. OVO had just signed their first recording artist, Party Next Door. And so 40 sponsored Majid basically to come back to Canada, and like helped him find housing, got him access to equipment and studio and stuff so that they could record. And that led to them making a song that would change the trajectory of their musical careers, which was Hold On, We're Going Home, which was on Drake's 2013 album, Nothing Was the Same.
You left your mark on me, I won't show high love and emotion endlessly, 'cause you're a good girl and you know
And now I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head for the rest of the day. Now that you just mentioned the name.
It's such a good song.
Yeah.
That went on to be one of the most popular singles of the 2010s, I would say.
Yeah.
Super catchy. And this song, I mean, Drake loved it. Obviously, he put it on his album.
Yeah.
And it really like projected Majid Jordan into their global success. 3 albums later, when it came to making this album, Good People, which is their 4th studio album, they kind of wanted to, just come back to the things that helped them make great music in the first place. And so because of that, they named this album Good People, kind of a callback to their original days as a duo. I would say in some ways it's a return like sonically to what they were doing early on. But I'd say more importantly, it was a return to like the mindset that they had when they first started making music. And even the process of making music. So what they did, they would record for a few weeks and then take a break and actually like physically separate from each other, kind of let it, marinate and think about what they had created, and then come back, improve it, or record new stuff. For Majid especially, it was important for him to go back home to Bahrain and be surrounded by his family, his culture, kind of reconnect with where he came from. So they ended up recording a good chunk of this in Toronto, but then they would also travel to Bahrain together and record and write in Bahrain, which is Majid's home.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to get into it. It looks like they were also featured on a couple other Drake albums, so I guess we know what camp they're in for this beef. But all right, I got Good People by Majid Jordan, 2023, 9 songs. First song is called Tears in Your Eyes.
show me your love and the way it makes me feel inside. Baby, you lied, you're everything to me. I need you in my life.
Nice. That like background harmony coming in.
Yeah.
Which one of them is singing?
So this is Majid.
Okay.
Yep.
Is he mostly the vocalist on stuff?
He does all of the singing,
Okay.
and Jordan does all of the production, basically.
Gotcha. Those little like snippets of like church organ kind of thing in the back. That bass line is cool.
Yeah. It was like they're like Congo drums or something in the back.
Yeah.
Sounds sick.
I know. I love the little like shakers.
So sick. Jordan's production is so cool.
The chords that are playing in the background are doing this thing where like I don't remember, there's a word for it, but where most of the notes in the chord stay the same, and then one note, I guess modulates is the name for it, modulation. And then all the other notes stay the same.
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool effect. Okay, this might be super like specific, but it gave me the feeling. I used to be in high school, I used to be on the swim team, and when we would be in practice, specifically when we were doing like long practices, sometimes you do like sprints, and then sometimes you do like long distance swims or whatever, and in those your body kind of like gets into a rhythm where like you can almost I almost describe it as like hypnotic. Like it's almost like an out of body experience. Like my body just goes into it's kind of similar to like if you go into like runner's high state or whatever, where your body's just kind of like on autopilot.
Yeah.
You kind of like forget everything like around you, and you kind of like lose feeling almost, and then you're just kind of like in your own head. And that's kind of how this song made me feel, honestly.
I could see that.
There's constant rhythm of everything, and it almost felt like kind of suspended and like floaty. I was thinking his voice was kind of like an instrument. Like it almost felt like the melody he was singing could have been just like a sax,
like a guitar or sax line.
Yeah, just kind of like improvising over the chords.
I think a lot of their music, the lyrics and the vocals are in some way like supplemental to the music rather than in a lot of songs where the music and the instrumentation is kind of supplemental to the lyrics and the vocals. I think their style is kind of the other way around.
Yeah, I liked it. I think I'll give it maybe like a solid 7.5.
Nice.
And I say solid because we've talked about it before, but 7, I feel like some people might see 7 as like bad, like C- or whatever. 7.5 is a solid, like
that's a good song. Yeah.
So yeah, I liked it. Next song is Waiting for You featuring Naomi Sharon, which I know you really like.
Yeah. I was debating between showing you her album or this one. And I settled on this one, but her debut album's incredible. So she's a label mate in OVO. I believe she's the newest signee to Drake's record label OVO. So
okay. Cool. Definitely feeling like the early 90s vibes on this one.
There's another one waiting for you. Hang on.
I love the it's like a lo-fi produced guitar, but with muted strings being plucked.
Yeah.
And that sound is so cool.
No more anger, only love inside.
And this is Majid, by the way,
Okay.
coming in.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to distinguish sometimes.
Yeah.
But,
Hang on. There's another one waiting for you.
and they're kind of going like back and forth here.
There's another one waiting. Hold on. Hang on. There's another one waiting for you.
Nice run on that hold on.
There's another one waiting. It gets too much without your love. Feel me. Hold on to your truth. Pray that you hear.
Yeah.
Pray that you see.
I love this piano that came in too.
Yeah.
It's like such a like so smooth. This like jazzy production.
Yeah. Still like continues the like delicate vocal like
Yeah,
style.
their vocals are like floating over this production.
Yeah, I really like that. I think the two Naomi Sharon and Majid's Majid is the vocalist, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Majid.
Yeah, their two voices like complemented each other so well.
A lot of people compare her to Sade, actually.
Oh,
her-
okay.
Her voice sounds a ton like that. I don't know, Sade kind of has this like deeper sound in her voice.
Mhm.
It's a very full sound. And also on this production, it totally sounds like it could be a Sade song.
For sure.
But
Yeah, I can definitely see it. It almost feels like a jam sesh
mm,
where
yeah.
you get like whether it's like live or you put on a drum loop or whatever, you
Yeah.
get like you get the foundation for it, the drums and like some the chord like that and you kind
Yeah.
of put that on, and then it almost felt like the rest was kind of like people just kind of like coming in and adding stuff that they sounded cool. Like it almost had this
Yeah.
improvised feel to it, kind of these like basic set of lyrics that you can work with, but
Yeah.
then outside of that you're kind of like improvising a little bit. That's kind of the feel it gives me. But
And you had mentioned like there were a couple of really cool like vocal runs in there. That's one of Majid's like, that is one thing he is so good at. He is so good at finding melodies and like and doing exactly that.
Mhm.
I think he's super talented in that. There's a reason why one of Drake's biggest songs has him at the forefront of it. But
Yeah, nice. I think I'll give this one like an 8. Okay, the next song is called Eyes Closed. Cool.
yeah.
That right before
Yeah.
it started. Honestly, I'm waiting for like Lionel Richie to come in on this.
yeah, seriously. Or like Billy Ocean or somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this could definitely be from Love Zone by Billy Ocean.
Yeah.
If you wait, tonight is yours. I won't let this go to waste. So baby, let me know if you stay.
His voice on this almost sounds like The Weeknd's.
Yeah, I can see that.
Got me feeling things that I'm not letting go. Forget about the world. When we move, we go slow. If you wait tonight is
I love those keys.
Yeah.
It's like super 90s.
So baby, let me know.
It almost sounds like a wood xylophone, kind of like.
Yeah, it does.
When I fall in love, I don't want this love to miss. Eyes closed. When we move, we go slow. Eyes closed. When we move, we go slow. Crazy, but I'm trying to let me time that we
Gotta appreciate a good bridge.
Yeah, and this song needed a bridge. I was starting to get a little bored with this, but that was a good bridge.
That's fair. That's fair.
Has that little guitar been there the whole time?
It's been very subtle. Like I think it comes in during the chorus,
Okay.
which to be fair is like most of the song. But
Yeah, like I said, I liked it, and there's a cool vibe going on, and like the
Yeah.
whole like 90s, like I said, like I want Lionel Richie or like Billy Ocean to come in on this.
yeah,
It just kept repeating. Like
Yeah.
you basically have like the one section that it's like if you wait tonight, it's yours or whatever.
yeah,
And then there's I guess it's maybe the chorus, the eyes close when we
yeah,
move,
yeah. I would
we
say
go
that's the chorus.
slow. And it basically just repeats. Like I said, I was starting to get a little bit like, man, is this just gonna keep going? And then the bridge came on, so that was
Yeah.
good.
I feel you there. I feel you there. You had mentioned that his voice was kind of sounded like The Weeknd's, especially like in the beginning, especially. A lot of people will compare their I guess Majid's voice especially to the Weeknd and also like Brent Faiyaz.
Yeah.
It is important to note, however,
What's up, brother?
Majid Jordan did come before both of those artists.
Fair.
And they've done a lot in defining the sound of like especially Toronto R&B. I don't know if you remember that. I think the first time I vividly remember hearing Billy Ocean was when we were in Mexico. I don't know if you remember this. We were in Mexico waiting in like it was a parking lot of a grocery store.
Yes,
And
bro. I have the exact same memory.
we put that CD in our big van that we were driving, and I was like, "Holy shit, what is this?"
We were like parked at the edge of the parking lot, like
Yeah, it was
up
like
on
a massive parking lot, and we were all the way up on the far end of it.
Yeah. I didn't remember that it was in Mexico, but now that you say that, I think I do remember that it was like
Yeah,
we were buying like I think we were trying to buy like one of those like boogie boards to go to the beach or something.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, that's when I think that's when we spent the summer in Mexico.
Yeah, it would have been like 2010 or something.
That's got to be like one of my first memories of like R&B styled music. I get Billy Ocean is like R&B soul. He's got some like reggae stuff going on, but yeah, that's one of my first memories of like R&B music. I was like, holy shit, this is so dope. Sitting in that big van bumping Love Zone by Billy Ocean.
That's so funny that we both have the same memory of listening to that the first time. Okay, I think this song I'll maybe give like I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
All right.
There's some dope elements in there. I felt like I wanted a little more variety. Okay, next song is called Hands Tied. This is track number 4. Whoa.
Strong bass line.
There's like a weird rhythmic thing there going on where like, hold on, we got to talk about this after.
Yeah.
When you found me, you knew you caught my eye.
He's in a totally different vocal like tone than he's
been. Oh,
It
totally.
was a different time. You really showed me.
Not in that high register
You know
anymore.
me.
Yeah.
It's like
Come and meet me.
there's like those very quiet, like kind of whispery vocals in the back.
And they kind of like pan.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like you have people like whispering in one ear and the other ear.
Yeah.
Show me sunlight on the water. Far as I can see. Tensions running deep, yeah. Don't punish me now, baby. We don't even speak.
I love the different like elements that are coming in. It was like the synth thing in the back going do
Yeah.
do 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 do, and now it's the guitar.
And like the vocals too.
Yeah, like the whisper.
Yeah.
I like how the vocals are kind of like playing a little bit with like rhythm. They're kind of like syncopated on some of the phrases.
Yeah.
Okay, I think for me, what it is the rhythm of all the different components. You've got like the bass line doing its thing, and then you have the like like synth thing in the background, and then
Yeah.
you have like the a few different kind of like rhythmic stuff. All of it just kind of like coming together, and like they're all emphasizing slightly different parts of like the timing, and it just makes it so interesting to me that your mind can just like jump from one to the other, and the way they like interplay with each other.
Yeah, it's like if you focus on one, then you like catch on to that rhythm of whatever it is that's playing.
Yeah,
But then if you kind of like draw yourself back, it's like, yeah, it's like pretty complex.
yeah,
Like the relationship between the rhythms of all the different instruments and the
Yeah.
vocals,
Yeah.
kind of like the cadence that they're singing
yeah,
totally plays a part in that. Also, just like how he's like slowly changing the word that he says. Yeah,
Or whatever.
suspicious, no, my dismissive, dismiss us. Then love is the answer, love is the message. It kind of like morphs into this.
yeah,
I don't know. I thought that sounded cool.
yeah. I thought that was cool too. I really
Oh,
like
yeah.
this song.
Nice.
I'm gonna give this one an 8.5 as well.
Nice.
I thought it was very interesting, fun to listen to.
For context, the first time I heard this album, mom was visiting us back in like, when did this come out? In like November, I think. Her flight to go back home to Michigan was at like 6 a.m. or something.
Mhm,
So I drove her to the airport at like 4 a.m.
mhm.
And it was the morning of when this album had come out. I knew that it came out. So I was like, on the way back, I was like, oh, I'm gonna just turn it on. And so like cruising down the freeway from like Salt Lake down to Provo, like passing by all the mountains. There was like not a car on the road because it was 4 a.m.
Yeah,
I just like blasted this album, and it was such a vibe. I was like, I don't remember a single minute of that drive or any of the turns that I made. I was just
Yeah.
like, my brain was in a completely different place, and I was just like, do, just like
Yeah.
cruising down the freeway at 4 a.m.
This song, I
Um,
feel like there are some songs that if you put on headphones and like walk around the city, while listening to them, they make you feel like the main character. Like it's
Yep.
just like a scene in a movie, and cameras are following you around, and you're just like walking.
Yeah.
It's like a montage scene of you like walking or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
This is one of those songs that I feel like would make you feel that way.
Yeah.
Track number 5 is called Slip.
Your eyes are calling me
Whoa.
from across the room.
Cool
like,
vocal production.
Echoey. Yeah.
And say, come to me.
And it also reminds me of some of the Weeknd's stuff.
Dude, also,
What's in that
this sounds like it's like a similar effect to what like Phil Collins sometimes uses
Yes.
with like In the Air Tonight, especially
Yeah.
like
what's in that heart of yours
this like slight reverb on the vocals.
Mhm.
as well. Baby, I want to love you a lot. I can't let my
The beat
heart
sounds like if you're in the room, in like the bathroom. It's like the Redbone trend. Do you remember
With
when
like when you're like in a room and the bar's like playing the music in the back.
yeah, it sounds like muffled, like there's some reggaeton music playing in the room next to you.
comes to you.
Yeah, it's like a muted kind of beat.
Yeah.
Give me a reason, don't leave me in doubt.
I like the little thing in the background that keeps repeating. It's just like the doo doo. Just like super quick, like 1 second little thing that keeps playing in the background.
Yeah.
I like how
that little change.
Yeah, how the beat
bass
kind of like
line.
drops out a little bit and just one little piece of it keeps going.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that one. There's lots of like little small decisions that like add just interesting texture and like interesting like that or whatever that kept going, and then just the muted sound of the beat.
That little thing too, I like because it follows Majid's voice. There's that line where he's like, I know, do 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 do.
Yeah.
And it kind of follows that same like
yeah, that's cool. The vocal production again was like interesting, added to the vibe. I think I'm gonna give it an 8 again.
Sweet.
Nice. So yeah. All right, let's do Violet, track number 6.
I watch the current moving through her, and I regret when I don't share what I feel. I'm learning when I make the wrong move.
It's like a vocal production that like sounds like you're on like old radio or something. Like
yeah.
She's got a better day, more than a pretty face, tattoos around her waist, something you
total switch up in the vocal production.
Where did we go wrong?
Especially this chorus part sounds like Daft Punk.
Oh yeah,
kind of the style that they sometimes go for.
Yeah.
Where did we go wrong? I'm ready to move along.
I can kind of see it too with like even the kind of like the funky guitar chord in the background.
Yeah. I think that's a keyboard doing this that chord there. That's just like I think once like every couple measures or something.
Yeah.
I like it. Like
really cool...
it like comes in like zoom. Like,
yeah.
And then closes.
It, like draws it out and then back in.
Yeah. It's kind of a cool production choice.
Red roses, sweet wine, just like violets.
Very like percussive guitar. I don't know if you heard that, but
yeah, it's similar. They've had, I think this is like the 3rd song or something where they have used like muted guitars in a very like percussive way.
Yeah.
Tattoos around her waist, something you can't erase. Where did we go wrong? I'm ready to move along.
I don't even know what that is, but that's so sick.
Baby, can we work?
Just that, like that do 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 do.
Yeah.
I don't wanna take your love, I just wanna earn it. I just wanna learn it. I don't want
Yeah, I really like that like muted guitar like percussive effect in the background.
Yeah, super dope.
And it sounds like they're still, even though it's fully muted, they're still using the fretboard to like change the note, because you can hear the tone of the muted like string is still changing.
Yeah.
Kind of going like dit, 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 dit.
I've been around them all. Baby, I'm coming home. I've been around them all.
Yeah, that little guitar line. Do 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 do.
Yeah, that's cool.
So many like small, very small production choices.
Yeah.
That I think really add to the music.
Cool. Yeah, I liked
Nice.
it.
Even for that's a long song, man. I mean, it's like 7.5 or something
Yeah,
minutes.
it's
It's a
interesting.
long one.
I feel like I was getting a little bit of that same feeling that I had on, which song was it?
It
Eyes
was on
Closed, I think.
eyes closed. Yeah.
It started feeling a little repetitive, but it's crazy because I really didn't start feeling it until probably like 5 minutes in, whereas Eyes Closed is like that's longer than the entire song, and I was feeling
Yeah.
that probably more like 2 minutes into that song. So
Yeah.
I'm not. I think there's definitely more like going on with
Yeah. This one is
in the
definitely
background,
a
and
bit more complex than eyes closed was.
yeah, yeah. I think I'll give it a 7.5.
Nice.
Um, yeah, I enjoyed it. Next song, track number 7, is called "The Message." Is this the first time we've
Nights feel
had a straight up
cold.
acoustic?
Just acoustic guitar. I think so. Yeah.
The morning is for angels.
Also, is this still Majid?
When they light up
Yeah.
again.
Okay. At first, I thought it was a
And
woman
all I
singing.
pray when I
It almost
meet
sounds
them
like
is
it.
they don't shrink from me. Beneath the light of your sincerity, just me. Lovingly, when I look into your light, I see the truth. When I lay under your moon,
These lyrics are way more like they're very like poetic and like
Yeah.
beautiful.
Mhm.
I felt you reappearing as the tide left. Let it rain till you forget.
And like with the introduction of this acoustic guitar, I think it does shift the focus more to the lyrics.
Yeah, true.
Rather than like the really interesting production that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Night of love. One day I'll know that I'm ready to love. It's all that I was made to do. I tell you
And I
now
think
with what I'm going through,
the acoustic guitar and the fact that you can hear like the fingers scratching
Yeah.
on the strings as they're switching chords and things, it gives it a very like
It's like
honest,
a very intimate kind of feel.
yeah, intimate and raw, which I feel like goes along with the lyrics
Yeah, totally.
being very kind of like kind of sentimental, a little bit like vulnerable. It's so cool how this like whatever this like background
It just like
chord
surrounds everything.
yeah, it kind of like started off slow and you could hear it growing, and then like before you know it, it just like overtakes everything.
Yeah.
Then you like almost didn't even notice that the guitar finally fell out.
Like drops out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chills. Literal chills.
Damn, yeah, that was really cool. I really loved that. Like for everything from the the chords that the acoustic guitar was playing were really cool. The like lyrics were really interesting. The
Yeah.
production at the end was like crazy. I never would have thought like when the song started that that's how it was gonna end.
Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah, I think I'll give that like an 8.5. Like that was really
Nice.
good.
I love how this song kind of strips away at a lot of the different elements that they've been using so far on the album. Just it strips it down to just pretty much an acoustic guitar and his voice, Majid's voice.
Mhm.
And like yeah, like we mentioned, like it just sounds super raw, super like vulnerable. And then that ending thing, I think that ending section is probably my favorite part of the album, my like favorite moment of the album. A huge part of it has to do with Majid's desire to like go back home. Like I
Mhm.
talked about at the beginning of the album. And to
Mhm.
me, that moment really feels like he got home. That seems like the moment of this album in recording where he's like happy to be back, you know, where he came from, happy to like reconnect with his roots and stuff.
Yeah. It reminded me, that last part reminded me of, you know, So It Goes by Mac Miller.
Yeah.
And you know how it ends off with this like instrumental section that just, it sounds similar to this. It's like this like really swelling, and it like kind of like goes up musically, and like slowly gets louder and louder. That's kind of how this reminded me of. I really like that. I think I totally agree with you. That's my favorite moment on the album so far. I don't know. I'll have to listen to it again. It might be my favorite song so far.
Nice. It's like, it's such a beautiful song.
Okay. The second to last song, track number 8, is called Cyanide.
I told you that I wasn't gonna love you, and you looked at me like I was talking like a fool, but I knew
That was cool. That high note.
I just needed something new. Take my shine, baby, please. Don't take my shine away.
Okay, so this is kind of like, the lyrics are kind of crazy. Like,
yeah,
it's like progressing of like someone, basically him saying like he wasn't gonna fall in love with someone, he wasn't gonna kiss them, and then he changed his mind or whatever, ended up doing it, and now he's like, didn't know my child was already inside of you.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know, this crazy like development.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that was interesting. I kind of liked that like acoustic guitar, the like pretty simple little progression. I think it was just like basically alternating between 2 chords. There was a little bit of like an interesting kind of lyrical progression.
Yeah.
And he kind of says like, similar to in one of the other songs where there's like a slight little change in the words. He says like, you take my shy away, and then baby, please don't take my shine away. Yeah, I think I'll give this one maybe a 7.5. All right, last song, Sunset.
Found heaven and I dove right in. There's an angel waiting in my bed. Knows what you do to me.
This is like so minimal. It's just like his voice, puts his voice at like the center of everything. With just some really light stuff in the background.
You know this love,
and it has that that like growing sound in the back too. Again.
Oh yeah, like the sunset in Morocco. She's a tough act to follow. Here today, gone tomorrow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm just now seeing a bit of a through line with some of these songs. The thing that made me think of it was, he says, there's an angel waiting in my bed, found heaven and it feels so real. And I was like, wait, hasn't he talked about angels? I think this is the 3rd song where he says something about that. And the one that it made me think of was The Message, where I just looked up the lyrics. It says, nights feel cold, the morning is for angels. In their light I begin, and all I pray when I meet them is they don't shrink from me. So I don't know, it kind of feels like these last 3 songs feel like they're very closely tied. In The Message, he's kind of like, we talked about him being like very kind of like a little bit like raw. Cyanide is like kind of similar. um it kind of is like has this story of like someone who he didn't think he was going to love or whatever, and then falls in love with them, and then he's just like so dependent on them. And then this song kind of feels like it's talking about basically like post a relationship. He's saying like, I found heaven and it feels so real, but then he says, can I make it right? You're a tough act to follow, here today, gone tomorrow. It's a tough pill to swallow. Time passes and I feel a change. So it feels almost like mourning and like what was, and knowing that it's going to be really hard to find anything like that again or whatever. So anyways, it's kind of interesting. Like it feels like there's a bit more of like an emotional narrative in those last few songs, and maybe it was there in the earlier ones and I just wasn't kind of like dialed into it. But
Yeah, I think a lot of the songs kind of not as directly as these last three that you just pointed out, but I think a lot of them do kind of follow a similar just idea. Almost like, I don't know, it almost seems like he's talking a lot about, like, obviously about love and relationships, and kind of like sometimes like the transient um kind of nature of relationships. Sometimes like
mhm,
sometimes people come and go,
mhm,
whether it's a choice that like we make to, to leave somebody behind and not continue to, necessarily entertain their presence in our life, if it is like a toxic relationship or something like that,
mhm.
or just, circumstances or somebody else leaving. um but yeah, that definitely does seem to be a theme.
I think this is a pretty like strong end to it. I think I'll give this one maybe an 8.
Nice.
I don't know, maybe I just like didn't understand myself enough, like my own taste enough. But like I do like a lot of the like ambient sounding stuff. I think really for me what I look for sometimes is just like I want enough like interesting things going on. So even if
Yeah.
it's ambient and like, I mean, that song was fairly minimal, but I don't know, there was like enough kind of like interesting elements to kind of like keep my mind engaged. And I think a big part of it too was the lyrics on this one were kind of like I was like listening into the lyrics because they were kind of
Yeah.
um I don't know, they felt more like sad and emotional.
Hmm.
Um
I think too, I think another part of it is like you were saying, like a lot, like you look for substance in music, and like if there's not enough there, it's kind of hard to like really appreciate it. I think one of the things that really gives this album substance is like you can feel the emotion through the
yeah.
songs. And I think emotion is very like, I don't know, it's like very dense. Like there's obviously there's a lot of substance behind that because there's experiences and there's, heartbreak maybe, and love obviously like we see on this album. And
Yeah.
behind all of those experiences there is a lot of substance, whether it's like explicitly stated or not.
Hmm.
And like that song, that's exactly what I was talking about at the end of the message. That's like totally what I feel like. There's not a whole lot going on, but like you can tell there's a lot going on,
Yeah.
like emotionally at least.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I ended up enjoying this album more than I thought I was going to. And
Nice.
especially really liked the first two songs, and then once we got to Eyes Closed, then I was like, "Oh man, is this going to be like a are there going to is this going to be kind of like an inconsistent album?" And I don't know, maybe I need to listen to Eyes Closed more and maybe it'll grow on me. I thought every other song was really good and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I think probably my favorites are the message was definitely one of my favorites. I really liked Waiting for You. I'm trying to remember, was it Hands Tied that I really liked? I think
Yeah, I remember you mentioned.
definitely those ones are for sure making it to the playlist.
Nice.
And I'm gonna listen through to this album a few more times, and maybe Eyes Closed will grow on me. But I think
Yeah,
overall, I think I'll give it an 8. I gave
nice.
it that was like almost every other song was like an 8. I think there were
Eight
maybe a
and a
couple seven and
half.
a halves, maybe
Yeah.
one or two 8 and a halves. So
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8. I really did like it a lot.
A couple of the things I really love about this album, in a world of 15-second TikTok, music clips, I feel
Mhm.
like they totally like stayed true to themselves. They did what they felt was right, and like just like went back to what made them a great duo in the first place.
Mhm.
And also like R&B today, there's a lot of, and I'll admit I enjoy a lot of R&B today, but there's like a lot of like douchey energy in modern R&B.
Mhm.
And I feel like they brought back some of the greatness of like the 80s and 90s R&B elements. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
A little bit different than what most of the stuff is being put out right now. So
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. And even some of the musical elements that really call back to like the 80s and 90s. I don't know, it feels like nostalgic.
yeah, it does.
Um,
Which is totally fitting too for like kind of the mindset that they were in while making this
yeah.
album.
Yeah. Yeah, and to your which one was it? It was the message that you said kind of feels like coming home or
Yeah,
whatever.
totally. Their relationship together, Majid and Jordan, is such a cool relationship. I think Jordan has been like super, super supportive of Majid. It was initially Jordan who asked him, like, yo, what do you need for this album to be, what we want it to be? And basically like how can I support you?
Mhm.
And that's when Majid was like, I think I need to go home, dude. Like, we've been here in Toronto for all these years, and I think I need to kind of go back and
Mhm.
reconnect. And Jordan said, "Okay, let's go. We're going to Bahrain. We're gonna record there. We're gonna do everything." Um, and so I think it's just a cool like dynamic between the two of them. They're both just like super good people. They just like
Mhm.
they care about each other, they care about other people. And I think they really just wanted to put like, I don't want to say like just like good vibes, but like they really just wanted to like put love out there through
Yeah.
their music. And I think they did a really good job of that with this album. I should also mention, I don't know if you saw this, but I think the week after they released this, they released a deluxe version of this album, which has their original EP, After Hours, which they released as Good People. So they ended up releasing After Hours, their original EP, kind of attached to this album, which was I
Nice.
thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. Dope, man. Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing the album. I really liked it.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this review and breakdown of Good People by Majid Jordan.
Yeah, and like Parker mentioned at the beginning of the episode, this is the last episode we're doing this season. We're both going to be taking a break and doing some traveling and moving and working over the summertime, but we will be back in the fall. In the meantime, make sure to go follow us on Instagram or TikTok. We will continue posting content, not full episodes, but we'll publish other content over the summertime. And we have already gotten lots of good recommendations on Instagram or TikTok from people of like albums we should listen to or that it would be fun to cover on the podcast. So please feel free to keep sending us those recommendations. Also, if you have any ideas of different types of content that you would like to see, feel free to send those our way. And when we come back in the fall, we may start incorporating some other types of content besides just like one of us introducing the other to an album.
Yeah, seriously, thanks so much to anybody who's watched any of our episodes so far, or who are, following our content on TikTok and Instagram as well. We seriously appreciate you. This has been super fun for us. We've both discovered a lot of new albums that we've really enjoyed. And like Helaman mentioned already, we've super enjoyed a lot of the albums that you guys have suggested to us. So keep them coming. We will be back. And yeah, we're super excited to keep things going. Please share this podcast with anybody that that loves music, family members, friends, roommates, whatever it is. We want to keep this thing growing. So appreciate y'all. We'll be back and we're looking forward to it. Hags, everybody.
Hags.